All right, everyone, we are live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble. We have a packed news day today, not only just polling analysis, of course, the big news of the day. Twitter has been acquired by Elon Musk. He promptly fired the CEO, the COO, and several other high brass individuals within Twitter's management, which is good. He should basically just fire them all, installing himself as CEO, which is something that was quite predictable. Of course, keep in mind who predicted the deal would go through in the end. He was trying to do a switcheroo and lower the price. It didn't work, and he said, fuck it. And thankfully, in the end, he now does control Twitter. We'll be analyzing that. We'll be talking about Biden's latest gaffe. Basically, it's a day-to-day occurrence. Tomorrow, I'll cover it in a main video, too, although it's basically like, what the fuck is the point at this point? Joe Biden does it so goddamn habitually. At some point, it's no longer even particularly entertaining. Let's reload here and make sure we're live on Rumble. Yes, I can see myself. Thankfully, I can't hear myself speaking. And we've got plenty of Rumble. Okay, chat's working. Excellent. Let's make sure that all the tabs are fully loaded. We need to make sure of that. I think we're going to have Kitty co-host here in a sec. Yes, Kitty, you can be over here. You can't be in front of the screen. I have to be able to see what I'm doing. The cat likes to distract me slightly. At least she's adorable, so, I don't mind too much, I suppose. I mind more when I'm trying to do some gaming or something like that. Hey, thanks, Kitty. You just caused me to get killed by a bunch of ghouls because I couldn't aim. Many such cases. Anyway, we'll launch right into the news. No, you can stay back here. Come on. Come on. Yes. Be cute over here so that people can actually see you. Look at how effortlessly that goes. Pumpoen Poos, I call her, because her underside sort of looks like pumpkin spice colored or something. We have a super chat. Dr. Zeodin, what happened in Arizona? Some honking? You said new tech exclusive, boss. Yes, I do have that queued up. My apologies, but I had something else I had to cover, namely PayPal. We will be talking about that here in this live stream as well. And yes, there are rumors that Trump will be reinstated on Twitter on Monday. So launching right into this, long story short, yes, Musk has acquired Twitter. He is still planning to reverse the lifelong ban system. How long it's going to take for that to occur, we don't know. But there are rumors that Trump will be back on the platform at some point next week. There is a meme going around where he supposedly posted on Truth Social responding to that fact. That's not actually real. That's a meme. That's plausible enough to go viral anyway. But he is likely to be invited back onto the platform. He has already said he's not going to use Twitter, and he's just going to use Truth Social. Truth Social, though, the timing of its launch and some of the problems with the site make it fairly likely that Trump will end up using Twitter again at some point in the future. Probably not before midterms, but probably thereafter at some point. He liquidates his holding in Truth Social and migrates back to Twitter. You're likely to see James O'Keefe back, the Babylon Bee, Sargon, Stefan Molyneux, Milo, all of the old heavy hitters of yesteryear that were purged off the platform for literally no reason in most cases. Yeah, they're probably all going to be back. It's going to be just like 2015 all over again. That is the good news. The bad news is it's not going to become a libertarian paradise of free speech. It's going to become missing link tech. That's my analysis. It will be better than it currently is. But you will still have the 2015 era TOS. There were already people being purged off the site then. It's just that as long as someone has some filter on what they're saying, they're not nearly as likely to get banned. And there will be apparently no lifelong bans at all, unless for illegal behavior, botting or something like that. Right now, though, the best part of it is the meltdown that you see from the far left. They're acting all hyperbolic. They think that Elon Musk, a proud African-American immigrant, by the way, he takes over and all of a sudden the site is going to go to hell. There will be Nazis all over the site and they're going to say mean things. Well, you don't have to worry about that. What you do have to worry about is the fact that people will disagree with you and you won't just be able to bitch them off the platform anymore. That's what the left is really afraid of, by the way. They're not afraid of somebody who goes, total whitest nationalist mode and their avatar is a goddamn swastika, because nobody's going to listen to them anyway. And this is why I oppose tech censorship in general as a rule. The kind of people that are being banned in general are the kind of people that turn others off to their ideology. The fact that commies haven't been banned off the platform probably is worse for the left than it is good for communism, just to be clear, because these people say and do completely stupid things that make absolutely no sense whatsoever, and turn others off to their ideology. I see it as a self-correcting sort of thing. The general masses will see the crazy shit that's posted, and most often it's not going to radicalize them. It pushes them in the other direction. If that person is not particularly charismatic. Plenty of the people who have been banned off these platforms are good content creators. Normally, they're not banned for any particular reason. They're collateral damage in the pogroms of the far left. And Twitter is a far left site. To be clear, people saying, well, no, it actually leans right. It's bullshit. It has become, in part, a left-wing echo chamber. We do have a double standard of rule enforcement. It's been that way now for a half a fucking decade. Just look at the fact that Twitter took the draconian step of banning a sitting president off of its platform. Joe Biden has said things that are technically actionable under Twitter's TOS multiple times. I don't see him being banned. There is a double standard there. This doesn't mean the pendulum swings in the other direction, nor should it. It means that some of the damage that's been done over the last more than half decade now is undone. I think the site will improve. I'm glad to see all of the leftoids melting down. Their salt is delicious. Some of them promised they would leave Twitter if Elon Musk actually ended up running the site. I want to see their toes held to the fucking fire, encourage them to leave. Point out over and over to these morons, hey, look, here's a tweet that you made 6 months ago threatening to leave the platform if Elon Musk became its boss. Bye. Why don't you tell the truth for once and actually not be a goddamn hypocrite and liar? Sebastian Monroe, what's your advice for new fathers to be? Get plenty of sleep while you can. Stock up on coffee. Lev Polyakov, good morning, Sticks. Where is the NPC pumpkin? I haven't seen any of the white ghost pumpkins here, actually, in the Netherlands. There are gourds that are kind of similar, but I haven't seen any that I can turn into the NPC, unfortunately. Joe Santos, will Google ban Twitter like it did Truth Social? No, because doing so would be goddamn suicidal. Google's already posting losses in its earnings. Meta as well, somehow doing far worse. Mr. Wonderful, I have my fingers crossed that President Trump will realize the importance of having at least some presence on Twitter. As he is a regular citizen now, he can block all the vermin that make cash off of him. Yeah, that'd be funny. Go on a banning spree against the far left and get them to whine hypocritically about my free speech that they don't believe in. Randy T, do you think Fuentes will be reinstated? Yeah. As far as I could tell, there was nothing technically actionable under Twitter's TOS if you actually properly interpret it. I think that he should be back on the platform. Keith Sparbaney, excellent Carrie Lake press conference yesterday. Yes, Carrie Lake calling out the hypocrites of the legacy media again, over ignoring new polls that show her, beginning to increase her lead over Katie Hobbs. So they have to bitch about other things. And as you can hear, the baby in the background, clearly hungry. Crazy Loon, the greatest disinfectant is sunlight. James Flowers, I found a mod for correctly shaped Nuka-Colas in my preferred brand of cigarettes in Fallout 4. Makes me giggle every time I find them in the game world. HF, no cap, for real, for real. Mr. Day's Night School, looking to upgrade my microphone for videos and streaming. Any suggestions? I use an AT2020, but I don't have a proper setup. If I did, it would be very, very good overall. That Manx guy, have you considered getting a Manx cat? No, I'm considering going petless in the future because of the amount of fucking hair and their proclivity towards urinating on your belongings. Next news story. So yeah, Twitter's been taken over by Elon Musk. That's the big one. Knock that out of the way. Cenk. Oh, poor Cenk Uygur. He is a very sad man. I talked about this earlier today, but I figured it bared mentioning here as well. I'm just going to read it verbatim like I did before because it's so fucking funny. LA, a Dem city in a Dem state, by the way, supermajority, is a mess. There's trash all over the roads. Cops don't respond to calls, as though you didn't hashtag defund the police the fuck out of it for a long time, Cenk. It's close to anarchy here. Is Garcetti already in Mumbai? Is anyone running this city? Karen Bass seems to be saying she's going to maintain the status quo. She knows how to work the system. No, thanks. And then when challenged, because he's a rich NIMBYist, to get out of his car and start cleaning up the trash, get a garbage bag. No, that's not my job. Real people don't have time to also be municipal workers. insinuating that municipal workers should just work harder. So, basically like spitting on the janitor on your way out of your studio, Cenk. Yeah, that goes over very well with the union voters that patronize the Young Turks, by the way. Why doesn't Garcetti get out of his fucking car, leave his mansion, and pick up the trash? Well, he's got a more real job than you, Cenk. You just bellow like a buffalo on, your podcast or whatever you'd call it. On a semi-regular basis, drawing in a dwindling audience, I would point out. And I'm thinking to myself, I was planning, like during the midterms, there will be a red wave, by the way. It's pretty much beyond question at this point, especially for the House. It'd probably be 45 fucking seats or some crazy shit like that. We were thinking about like after, the stream is over. So we've got some of the votes from the Eastern Coast, from the central area, and sort of the trajectory of the way things are going. Then you want to have some fun before you pass out when the caffeine wears off. And in 2018, that meant clanking and the Young Turks live chat on their stream, assuming that they have their live chat on and not massively moderated. I have a feeling they at least learned a little bit from the past. So clankers would be falling left and right. We'd have to really pump it up. Probably get the Salty Army and Razor Force up in this bitch and overrun them. But now I'm thinking to myself, how many people are actually going to be paying attention to Cenk? maybe we should raid Jimmy Dore instead. Someone who's still relevant within politics. That'd be funny as fuck. No cucks allowed. Jesus is behind you, Sticks. Yes, he is on Gord Gotha. Mind of a Madman 69. Clank supremacy. Mr. Wonderful. What will Alex Jones' return tweet be? He may or may not actually be back on the platform, just to be clear. I think he's a little bit busy with legal issues at the moment. InfoWars will probably be back. As far as his personal account, I don't know. Elliot Gill. Hi, Sticks. In your opinion, how much of Elon's decision to buy Twitter was motivated by the left being insufferable? Very little. In my opinion, it's all about making money. I know he claims otherwise, but, he's a corporate leader. It's about making money. What he has realized, though, is that if Twitter is the only established old tech site that has some degree of free speech on it, so it's not on YouTube, it's certainly not on Facebook, Insta, or something like that. It's not in the Apple Store, the Google Play Store, or any of these other things. If Twitter is the only one that embraces even half-heartedly free speech and already has a hefty budget, advertising platform, etc., and especially if they rebranch out into video on a bigger basis like they used to have Vine, then he can outcompete all the other old tech sites, and Twitter will be the last one standing. It'll be the only one that 5 years from now is still a force to be reckoned with. And I think that he realizes that'll make him huge amounts of money. Sparky, who needs the metaverse when we have the fantasy land spun by the legacy media? Iraqi oil money. I hate it when people say online say touch grass. Just say go outside like normal people. It's ironic how they say that as if it's a dunk on people who are terminally online, but normal people don't say that. Yeah, it's just Zoomer slang. How is that any different from saying pound sand, though? That's the same fucking shit. Not a banned account. Could you stroke your beard evilly, please? Perhaps I could, my friend. Crazy Loon. So municipal workers aren't real workers, Cenk? Yeah, apparently not. Yeah, the dude who cleans up the trash. He's just not working hard enough for Cenk Uyghur's desires. And it's funny because I think the mayor of New York, same day, was saying that only 2% of New York streets were filthy or had a bunch of trash on them. And you get people responding with pictures from their particular block, good block, bad block. Those bad days are back in New York City like they were in the old days. I hated New York City when I went through it, and I went through it at the height of New York being a relatively safe, large city. Even back then, the late 2000s, New York was a lot less dicey and trashy than it is now. Fucking hated it. Mojo Hansen. I have 3 cats. I hate them all. Well, you can always sell them to someone who will turn them into food. On Twitter, I guess I can complete that joke now. Lev Polyakov, do you think a video service on Twitter is a possibility? Would love to stream through there eventually. Yeah, they should expand their video capabilities. Now that they're going to have a much larger number of people on the platform for unbanning millions of people wrongfully convicted of wrongthink, yeah, they should absolutely do so. Mind of a Madman 69. When is the Young Turks live stream? Midterms? I will go under the bridge for that then. Yeah, we'll be live streaming on the midterms, probably starting around the time that the votes begin coming in Eastern time. So it'll be, my time, that'll be a lot, 4 or 5 a.m. or something. I'm going to have to take a midday nap the day before and make sure to have a pyramid of caffeine behind me. You'll get to see it too. I'll be sucking them down one after the other. Thankfully, I have a co-host so I can take a piss break once in a while. Chris Primer, glad to see Chunk Yogurt spiraling again. Hopefully it becomes perpetual. Drennan, I get the feeling they will try to cancel Elon. However, Elon has the power to cancel back with Tesla and Starlink. Just saying. Yeah, it's kind of hard to cancel someone who's that diversified. It's not like Zuckerberg. All of his holdings are in tech. It's Meta. It's Facebook Insta, basically. You want to cancel him? It's easy. They already put the kibosh to his concept of tying in web services with, LibreCoin anyway. He was going to have a cryptocurrency, and the government told him to knock it off, and half of his investors left the same day. It's harder to do that to someone like Elon Musk because most of his holdings are in vehicles and satellites. I mean, it's tech related, but not entirely. And things like the engineering, like the Boring Company. It's totally different than any of the other tech leaders. Neon Dystopia, what's the first thing Republicans do after they retake the House? Probably take a little bit of a sabbatical to go snort coke with the Democrats. At least the neocons will. What's the first thing Republicans do if they retake both the House and the Senate? They will try to impeach Biden at some point. I support that, by the way. They will not have the votes to remove him from office, sadly. That's number one. They've pledged to down the expansion of the IRS. If they accomplish nothing else in the first few months, that is a must-do. They must do that. They have already pledged to do so. Even fucking McCarthy was talking about that. They'd be crazy not to. Tommy Robinson, a judge is threatening to throw True the Vote in jail for contempt Monday if they don't give up their informants. Well, then they should just ignore the judge and go to jail for a little while. John Lacreus, is Twitter take over the October surprise? Putin got to Elon and everything will filter through KGB. Clank. Yeah, that seems to be what the left is going with. They're even talking about getting the Tumblr army that hasn't existed in quite some time to try to destroy the site by making it uninhabitable, by basically shit posting, botting, spamming, posting weird shit. I was thinking to myself, you got your shit shoved in by 4chan multiple times, and 4chan actually is still a viable site unlike Tumblr. Be careful what you wish for. Vigor, call Snake Plissken. James Flowers, telling someone to go kick rocks is my personal favorite variant. Yeah, I like pound sand. I don't know which era is that. Is that Gen X or Millennial? I think kick rocks is Gen X. There's got to be some boomer equivalent too. Drive-by commenter, hello Sticks. Wanted to get your opinion on these artificial intelligence art generators, including upcoming ones for music, video, and writing. Is the future of human creation doomed to oversaturation? Here's the pro tip. It's already oversaturated. Think about how many people make videos out there, and now think of how many people make videos that anyone actually fucking watches. The current wave of content creation, I hate to tell you this, the current era of it is untenable anyway because it's already massively oversaturated. You almost need to prevent people from creating content in order to focus on the talent that's there. The problem is that what's happening is that they're using completely arbitrary measures to actually do that. Instead of looking at who is organically popular, mainly independent creators, they favor the priority creation. So the old cable networks that they force on everyone, force them down their throats and things like that. Thus oversaturating the market further, by the way. Racy, crackheads and clankers, unite for the best midterm coverage. Yes, we will be cracking it up. Cage the Mick. Hey, Sticks, Beady Boy was talking about having you on episode 666. Think you can make it happen? That would be pretty rad. No, unfortunately, I do not believe I will be able to be on that episode, but I do have an open invitation to go on Tim Pool's show, and in the future, I will definitely be doing so. Not a banned account. Will President Biden resign? First woman president? That remains to be seen. We have to look at the midterm results and the fallout over the subsequent week or so. How fickle are the Democrats going to be based on how many seats they lost towards the Biden administration? How much will they throw him under the bus? That will play a role in his decision-making process. Mr. Wonderful, midterm stream, Sticks caffeinated, sleazy, crackinated, and drunk probably. It'll be pretty funny. No cucks allowed. How much have you made from Tim Pool questions? Lol. I don't know, but it seems every stream, one or two of the super chats is related to Tim Pool. JB, I can't fathom accepting a victory result for Katie the Cat Lady Carrie being mean to me, Hobbs. Cody Hamilton sent 99 cents, but no comment. Thank you. Hair Juicer 3000, go whiz in a Jimmy, my favorite screw-off variant. Kitty, seriously, I do have, things that I'm doing right now. Trig1211, Twitter unbans when? We'll see how fast that occurs. I think they'll prioritize it for some of the major creators first and then try to work through the rest. Josie, I wonder if the Dems are failing on purpose in order to shift the Overton window and have more progressive candidates replace as much of the Dems as they can. I disagree. There's a different reason why they don't care if they win. I'll get into that. Every time they lose an election, they only double down harder. No, I think it's because they know the economy is going to collapse when it stops being pumped. Right now, Biden is pumping the economy massively full of funny money. When you stop, because you have no choice but to stop, all of a sudden the growth ends and you get a recession, like an official deeper recession than the foreshock session you had for the first half of this fiscal year. They will blame it then on the Republicans. They obstructed us. We had such great ideas for infrastructure and things like that. You watch. They're already prepping to do that. Ramon C. GTC. Did you saw the New York Post hack? Yes, I did. And it was funny. Large Paw, will OPEC Plus start pumping more oil if the right takes the House and Senate, or will they continue to make Biden pay the price? They'll continue to throttle it because they want to make more money. Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. Will Elon release all requests to ban U.S. citizens made by U.S. politicians and their aides? At least 15 senators made requests per Senate conferences. He should, but probably won't. Yeah, they'll lobby him vociferously on that. Sparky, a violin maker's book from the 1700s, said violin strings should be made from the intestines of an agile cat. Funny that agile was specified. I guess they thought the sinews would be be better or something like that. Not a bad account. Is it okay if we ask our spouses to dress up as you? Yeah, I don't care. You do whatever you want for Halloween or in the bedroom, regardless of which one you're referring to. The new IKB 4472. If Elon ran for president, would he win? And would he be R or D? He can't because he was not born in the United States. He's from South Africa. The Landlord Harassment Channel. You just argue for limiting the common man's voice? No, I'm just saying that since you have to throttle back content in some meaningful way because you do have oversaturation, the corporations will have no choice. Eventually, they will have to do so. It should be based on organic interest, as in people going to content or not going to content in a free-for-all sort of level playing field. They're doing the opposite. They're the ones that are already throttling material, but they're doing so in favor of corporate interests mainly. Drennan. Rumors are already circulating that Twitter might reach out to Rumble and start a partnership. That would be very, very interesting. I'm sure that it's at least being thought of. Lev Polyakov, thoughts on whether bail reform leads to more crime? It depends on the form it takes. I have no problem with limiting or reducing or getting rid of bail for minor crimes, especially for nonviolent ones. When you're talking about eliminating it for second-degree murderers, it's an entirely different story. Mary Meadows sent $2. No comment, thank you. Draven Alklaw. So apparently Tim Fool invited you to his Doomcast. Lol. Hope you can white pill him. I have felt more upbeat hearing you than him. Here's some money. I think I feel more upbeat when I get money. Thank you. Yes, I will go on Timcast as soon as I'm capable of doing so. Rice Coon. What is with the cross in the background by the 6 cans? That is Gord Gotha Hill, of course. Huns with guns. Most AI art sucks. If you ever dabble in AI-generated images, you'll be able to instantly identify it. Some people try to use AI art to push for UBI. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's going to take a very long time before it can imitate anything that has the creativity of human awareness. Musically assured destruction. I'm currently browsing Twitter and seeing people like Tristan Snell tweeting to stay on the platform and stand your ground like Ukrainians. Cringe. I think that actually started with a Pacific article, and it's meant to satirize the left's reaction to the Twitter takeover. But some of the leftists don't have a satirical understanding, so I guess they're taking it seriously. Drennan, rumors are... I already did that one. Yeah, I did that one too. Okay. Next news story. Update. Meta stock last down over 20% for pre-market. Yes, yesterday Meta got absolutely crushed. Facebook, specifically in Meta at large, the parent company, put out their new earnings for Q3. They were abysmal. Now, they already had soaked down the expectations some, but they came in even below that. And so people, they started selling off like crazy. Meta is no longer a top 20 company in the United States. They're going Yahoo mode. And I'll tell you why. Instagram's fine. For yesteryear, it's a reasonable platform. Facebook has devolved into boomer book. Fewer and fewer people use it. It's losing leverage very quickly. And yet, instead of attempting to formulate a way in which Facebook and all of these other things could be viable, Zuckerberg spent enormous amounts of money trying to create an AI world, effectively, a VR and AI world. And it basically is nothing more than an upgraded Second Life. And so naturally, people aren't using it. There's no interest in it. People already augment their surroundings constantly with smartphones and tablets anyway. Why the hell would they want to wear a headset when they go to the refrigerator? Oh, wow, I can see my food in 3D, but it's already 3D. It's there physically in front of you. Why the fuck do you need to video game it up? The closest thing to like a VR style augmented reality that really took off is Pokemon Go. And it got people outside to exercise. It got them a little extra exercise before the COVID lockdowns. That, and I said it at the time years ago, is sort of the beginning of that trend. Pokemon Go, not the metaverse. Pokemon Go arguably is the beginning of that basic premise, at least in the modern sense of computing, of gaming and so forth. People would love that for gaming. You're walking down the street and you can interact with other people through some sort of format. Google Glass, you remember that, that's fallen through. The basic concept isn't bad. The basic concept could be quite useful. It could have life-saving implications, life-saving applications. It could be used for military purposes. I'm sure the CIA is on board with the whole thing. But for day-to-day purposes, walking down the street, it just doesn't make any sense. Yes, Patrick Paleo is correct. It is a novelty. He took what should be conceived of as an interesting novelty, something to tinker around with and keep for the rich bitches of society. Here's your $10,000 VR system, madame. Something like that, and tried to popularize it to the average Joe public. Average Joe public's too busy working to take part in that fucking bullshit. And so Meta will continue to collapse. I do not think they will come back from this, by the way. Alex Deman, New York City just filed thousands of red flag law cases against gun owners. Red flag states be wary. New soft anti-gun move. Red flag laws eventually will be found unconstitutional, by the way. Specifically under the premises of part of Bruin. Mr. Wonderful, your pumpkin is current day piss Christ. Interesting. Slothy tendencies. Thanks for the $50, by the way. Dad, please come home. Crazy Loon. Meta avatars remind me of Mii's from the Wii. I don't know anything about that. I sort of skipped that generation of gaming. Anything Wii related is cringe as fuck anyway. Cenk Uger's sweaty gunt on Rumble. The other one crashing and burning is Taylor Lorenz. The gates of hell opened up tonight on this site after I told her, learn to code, bitch, with the JoJo crew doing the torture dance. Lol. Imperium Vita. Sticks, what is idpol? You are the only commentator I see using the term, wondering what are the origins. It means identity politics. So instead of politicking based on a platform like, I would like to lower taxes, I think we need a stronger military. I think we need to restrain the military budget. It's stuff like that that applies broadly to most or all people in society. Instead, you're simply trying to cobble people together based on some identity. So, you know, I want more support for Black people. I also want more support for women. And you're hoping that female and Black voters will coalesce around you in a coalition and vote for you, even though you've given them no real reason to vote for you whatsoever. It is a symbol of leftoidism within politics. Communists very good at using InPoll. Adam THM, Pokemon Go to the polls. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Jesus Christ. BW, with PayPal and commie tactics after C19 plus validation I got yesterday that losing our democracy is a dog whistle for losing progress towards Marxism. Are we already under the Great Reset? No, but we're on the precipice, so keep fighting. Tim Jones, what are your thoughts on Kanye West? Not a fan of the music or anything about him, really. I just like that he rankles leftoids. And I don't think that he should be canceled for saying something far more innocuous than what you see on MSNBC basically every other day. Mr. Wonderful, Pepe is back, baby. Woo! E100 Omega 123, Boomer Moment. How do I send super chats on Rumble? I think you have to press the little money bags down at the bottom where it says your message here. And I think you can only do it on the desktop version. or so I've heard. Sinister Minister, the view audience is exhibit to a repeal 19. Redfield RE, Meta? You mean GeoCities with a visor? Yeah, basically. Angel Fire sites or something. Ozzy's Robots, hey Sticks, the fired Twitter execs have a 200 million golden parachute for driving the company into the ground. Musk should tell them to pound sand. Oh no, give them their money. You'll make lots more money than that by undoing the damage that they did, just by growing the site organically. That anime guy, Zero, on Rumble. Hey Sticks, I've done some real VR development. The technology isn't as developed as Meta and the VR types claim. 95% of it is people huffing their own farts. Yeah, exactly. It takes an enormous amount of power to power such a system. You're trying to interlink literally everything Ness with a meshed up VR world that's all around you. I mean, is it going to work in rural areas as well as it will in, Amsterdam or New York City? Probably not. I built a 3-dimensional model of my barn to show off to my 2 neighbors. Not a bad account. Have you heard Tim Pool warn about civil war? Yes, multiple times. I happen to disagree with him on this. Cindy Drellick, yes to caffeine. If we live healthy lives, adding caffeine boosts mental acuity and energy. If we are lazy and unmotivated, caffeine is bad. Simple. I'm 66, eat healthy, exercise, been consuming caffeine since age 16. Yeah, old studies that showed it correlated with heart problems, they weren't fixing for cigarette smoking, so they are basically useless. The new IKB 4472 is Elon the most successful African-American. He is the richest. He's the richest man in the world, and he happens to be an African-American immigrant. How racist the United States is. Cenk Uger's Sweaty Gunt. People on Reddit straight up saying Daryl Brooks was a QAnon white supremacist while the mods banned anyone who called out the obvious bullshit. Well, it's Reddit. They're vestigial too. They'll go to the way of Meta fairly soon. Neuralink says no comment. Next news story. Cancel your PayPal accounts. They have restored the misinfo fine of $2,500 on their platform. Now, let me make one suggestion here. If you look at the wording here, it is changed from the original draft, which it was a leaked draft a couple of weeks ago. It's clear that that's what was released. Number one, PayPal lied when it said that it didn't intend to impose something like that, clearly because they did reimpose this. Number two, while this will not affect the average user of PayPal, it can affect content creators. Look at the wording, very careful wording, by the way, and it seems that this is probably the point, within their actual little thing about the fine. The fine would apply, potentially, by extension, to any content creator that is taking tips through PayPal. That's a hell of a lot of content creators. If you are a content creator and you get PayPal tips, and you do anything that PayPal does not like and labels disinfo, however arbitrary their guidelines may be, they are technically legally justifying confiscating $2,500 from you to cover up to the amount that you were getting tipped, I suppose, on that. There's a segment regarding streaming as an unauthorized sort of thing. While there are ways around this, you can have a secondary account that someone's using unofficially. They're using links within links to try to hide what they're doing, and there are ways around it to fuck PayPal on the ass. Why bother? It's not worth the hassle. And by the way, Venmo is from the same company, so you shouldn't use them either. Just cancel your PayPal accounts. It's not going to hurt that much at this point anyway. Rex Skittles, what's on your wall above the cans? I've been trying to clean my screen for weeks before I realized it was on your end. That's just a little blotch where I had a hanger thing for the sword and it fell off and it sort of pulled a little bit of the paint off. Cerno, Congress needs to go over the entire U.S. federal law book and find the statutes most commonly used in lawfare and repeal them. Agreed. Cody Hamilton, Sticks knows best. Black 995, how do you feel about China building up its navy and it has more combat-ready ships than the U.S. also by 2030? It will have 6 carriers. Doubtful. I highly doubt that they will hit their goals there. I think it's sort of like the strategy the U.S. used with the USSR to get them to ramp up spending so much they collapsed their economy. Some Dusty Rando, hey Sticks, I've recently discovered your channel and I'm loving it. Well, thank you. 8-Bit Panda Strike, hey Sticks, love your stuff. Any chance of appearing on Friday Night Tights? I know time zone differences may be wonky. I have trouble doing any appearances at this point because of the fucking time zones, unless it's somebody who's within Europe, like, the Golden One wanted me aboard. Those are easy, but I mean, I can't, I've got a child. I can't stay up until 2 a.m. to make an appearance unless it's an A+, like somebody with 10 million subscribers wants me aboard for an hour, I can maybe make an exception. I've really got to prioritize things, though. I've got a family to take care of. Gorgeous Mayhem. Did you hear about the Dem who blew the whistle on 2,000 meals style fortification that I can't mention anything further about? No, I actually didn't, but I can look that up. You have to be careful what you talk about on censored sites. Fairly soon, Twitter may be less censored. That'll be good. Next news story. Joe Biden. Actually, I'm going to bump this one in the interest of time. I'm already getting up towards 40 minutes. We'll go straight to the polls because I already covered that in a one-off video. It's about Joe Biden and his airline seating comments. I made that, I think, a new tech exclusive the other day. Just look that up. Never mind. We do have latest polls in. Some of them are very recent and very meaningful. For the very first time, and of course, any single poll, take it with a grain of salt. It is only a single poll. It may be able to show you a velocity and a trajectory. It can't show you a real number. For the very first time, we do have a poll, though, out of Pennsylvania showing Oz ahead of Fetterman. Unfortunately, Pennsylvania will be partially fortified. Oz needs a bigger lead than 3 points, in my opinion, to carry it away. I think he needs to be at 5 or thereabouts in order to actually win. Otherwise, Fetterman will be honk elected to that position. That's an official prediction. Could be wrong. You could have a huge polling skew. It's just you can't really count on that. But you do have good news for him. For the very first time in that race, he is actually ahead slightly in a poll. That hasn't happened before. The closest he came was one recent poll showed a tie. Now you have one with Oz ahead. By the way, insider advantage. You can look at that and compare it to their prior poll, and it shows you a trajectory of 3 points in Oz's direction. This is effectively debate fallout, possibly. If it moves a little bit further, it's meaningful. We also have Rasmussen talking about Walker v. Warnock. Herschel Walker is now slightly ahead of Raphael Warnock. He leads by +5 in the Rasmussen Reports poll. If Rasmussen is underestimating, like in a couple of elections recently they have, and Rasmussen typically tends to favor the GOP a bit more than most aggregate polling numbers, then Walker will run away with it. We also have a Kemp poll. Those are no longer particularly interesting to me because Kemp has sealed the deal. It still shows him up by 10. In fact, what's he at in the aggregate now? He's at 7.4 in the aggregate. That's beyond the margin of error by a good margin. He will beat Stacey Abrams. Laxalt is ahead by 4, according to Trafalgar for Nevada Senate. And for the gubernatorial slot, Lombardo v. Sisolak, Lombardo ahead by 7 there. That deviates from the general polling aggregate, but again, it shows trajectory. Also, we have one new poll for the Oregon gubernatorial race, again showing Drazen up by a couple. He has been up by at least a point in all of the recent polls for several months. It now looks like a Republican will manage to grab up the Oregon gubernatorial slot for the first time since, I believe, the 1990s, if I remember correctly. Lots and lots of good shit happening. There's a lot of... By the way, no more super chats, please. I'm going to have to cut them off early today, I guess. I've still got a couple of news stories to go through. Das Nightman, just got some stroopwafels from the store. Expensive, but worth every bite. Do you like them as well? No, I never eat sweets. Dan050, Gators eat their boogers. Go Dogs. Styx's best friend, you're right. Your fans are morons. Salty Ironworker. Morning. Have you announced your guests on Election Day stream and I missed it? If not, consider this a bribe to leak it. Lol. I hope you and all fellow clankers have a great weekend. I will get back to all the people that I invited previously and try to hammer out times. And then once a list is fully confirmed and everyone's like, yes, I can show up at some point within this frame of time, then we will put that list out. Armadas Interceptor. No voting, no voking, no touching, no sucking. Aliza, right now, Libertarian Party candidates are siphoning votes from Republicans in PA where the races are crucial. Who cares? As a non-Republican, number one, who cares? Number two, they have the right to run. If an independent is siphoning votes away from the Democrat for the Oregon gubernatorial race, that's why the Republicans are ahead there. Many such cases. Sparky, CIA uses Facebook feeds to remote control boomers and suburbanites, both of whom think their Facebook feed is a genuine alternative news source. Very, very sad. I haven't used Facebook now in years. Cats MD, thank you for your commentaries, which are better by far than any MSM source. God bless. Thank you. Lehman Roos. Would you wear this ARM PR I made that has a built-in trumpet in the rear end for passing gas? Please give me that sweet music. I need to hear the call. Salt A. Good morning, Stick. Seeing more Zeldin signs in New York City. Don't underestimate the Asian vote. They're pledging support for the GOP because they're forgotten by the Dems. It is possible that Lee Zeldin can win. Polling skew, last-minute moves, etc. It's just still not likely. But, I mean, if you're there, you should definitely vote for Lee Zeldin because for the first time in a long time, you've got a chance to knock the Democrat incumbent out. Mr. Wonderful, Jesus, Sticks, sugar is life. I eat as little sweets and sugary things as possible. Let's see. On Rumble, we've got Hidden Angels. Shout out to human closed captioners in spite of Feder jerks' blame. Steno lives matter. Next news story, of course, Darrell Brooks was found guilty on all charges and will now face life imprisonment. Somebody was escorted out by saying, "Burn in hell, you piece of shit." You'll remember Darrell Brooks as the severe anti-white racist who was indoctrinated in part by left-wing media, you know, the right-wing watchers of the world, I guess, MSNBC, into hating white people. So he decided to go to the largely white neighborhood and mow people down at a Christmas parade in Kenosha or Waukesha. Yeah, Waukesha. Sorry, I got those two mixed up. And this is good. I noticed that there was not much lamestream legacy media coverage of the case in general. You had to go to alternative streams mainly. That's because Darrell Brooks kept saying weird shit, and they don't want to talk about it now because they know. Now, number one, he's going to have a hard time in prison. Number two, he's a racist. He hated white people. He decided to run them down, but there was no gun involved, so there was nothing that they could bitch about. You can't bitch about racism because you're not capable of being racist against whites. It's impossible because they've got privilege. There's no gun involved, so you can't ramble about the NRA being responsible. He clearly was not, you know, on the right wing of politics, so you can't say MAGA bad. So they just ignored the story entirely, despite the massive death toll. How many people were injured there? Like 60 or something like that? They didn't talk about it very much. Nocular Tech Sticks, have any opinion on Caroline Leavitt versus Chris Pappas in New Hampshire? I have not looked into any polling with regards to that race. Now we've got Elon Omar. She was talking about dangerous propagandists disrupting her town hall. People showing up to say that they didn't want continued funding for Ukraine. And she's like, well, no, Russia's the one that started the war. I'm saying, yeah, they did. They invaded Ukraine. What I would point out is that it is actually, she's claiming it's not anti-war activism. Yes, it is anti-war activism. Whether you consider the war effort justified or not does not mean anything. When you are sending weapons to a foreign nation, regardless of the justifications involved, that is involved with combat with one of its neighbors, in this case, Ukraine v. Russia, that is effectively a war stance that you are taking. You're giving them intel, you are giving them military goods, you're giving them money, you're giving them logistic support. That is a war effort. You can consider it justified, you can consider it defensive. That does not mean a person's not an anti-war activist by opposing it still. There are people who are conscientious objectors who would object even to having a war response in the regards to the invasion of the UK or something like that, like even if it was a NATO country. It would still be an anti-war stance. You just don't consider it justified. I find it funny because Elon Omar and her fellow progressives were saying we need to throttle this shit back because we're getting towards the brink of World War III, and then immediately cucked out. Just a few days ago, they wrote that letter to the Biden admin saying, well, we need to rethink this aid to Ukraine thing. It's getting a little bit much. What they realize is that it's getting less popular. That's basically the sum and substance of it. But then they immediately cucked, and it was very funny. To be clear, I oppose Russia's invasion of Ukraine. I also oppose sending a bunch of goddamn Stinger missiles to Ukraine, which everyone labeled one of the most corrupt countries on earth for years on end before this happened, while attempting to disarm the U.S. public. That's what I oppose. If our economy is balanced, go ahead and show large S and give money to this foreign state. If Americans are capable of defending themselves properly, you've got no NFA anymore. People are capable of owning actual military weapons. If a private manufacturer wants to get drafted by the government to send machine guns overseas, that's fine, as long as the U.S. public has them. As long as there is unconstitutional anti-Second Amendment legislation, the U.S. should not arm anybody, as long as that's the case. As long as our own budget is completely unbalanced and frenetic and we're on the edge of a goddamn recession, we shouldn't be sending money to foreign countries. It's as simple as that. I'm not even going anti-war with regards to this. It's just economic pragmatism, constitutional pragmatism. You don't have to like Russia. Certainly you don't have to like Putin to understand that. They're dangerous propagandists. No, they're not. They just disagree with you. And you've got no counter for it, so you have to call them propagandists. That's what Elon Omar is about. The Spencer full Al Gore quote is actually, I created the internet, pauses to turn page on speech. Child protection laws and regulations. Fox News clipped it. Yeah, but it's become a meme, so nobody cares. And then the last news story, this is just a big Biden lie, and I don't know whether he's so out of it he didn't realize that he was saying it wrong. You could count it as him misspeaking, I suppose, but I'm just going to assume that he's flat out lying. Biden, the most common price of gas in America is $3.39. Fact check, true. Down from over $5 when I took office. The average price of gas when Joe Biden took office was actually $2.39. So it's actually up $1 since that point. Now, you could just say that he misspoke. He meant to say from the peak price, it's down from over $5 at the beginning of the year or when it hit its price peak. That would be true. Yeah, the price of gas has come down. That's great. The problem is it's still a fucking full $1 a gallon higher than when you actually took office. And by took, I do mean took. Well, we're granted it really by the real powers that be, none of which have Alzheimer's disease, just to be clear. But I mean, that's the average too. That's not a universal and across the board. That average is lower in a bunch of red states that you have no political support in. Look at California. Look at parts of the West, parts of the Great Lakes states where it's higher. Disproportionately, suburban America and like the everyman sort of towns and then the blue strongholds are the areas paying the highest at the price. It's definitely going to depress the Dems turnout for the midterm. So another Biden gaffe. He is completely wrong here. Whether he is being malevolent or just, cuckoo remains anyone's guess. Doc Holliday. I was showing one of your videos to a Catholic friend. When he saw your channel name, he gasped and dropped my phone. Christian, but still funny. Yeah, I realized that I would have more people subscribe to me if I altered my handle, but then the people subscribed to me would be, by and large, less intelligent, so I'd rather not. I figure that if a person really, for religious reasons, is afraid of me because of my username, they're probably not going to get it as far as my content goes. I don't care if someone who's like Christian watches me, that's fine. They don't even have to like the username. But if they get superstitious about it, are they going to enjoy the occult uploads? Are they going to enjoy my views on certain political issues where I certainly deviate from the right wing? Probably not. Probably not going to happen. So it's not worth my time to change my handle. At least that's what I believe. Keep in mind, by the way, when we're talking about lower gas prices, speaking about Biden's gaffe there, we're talking about one part gas tax holiday extension, one part allowing winter blends during warmer months, and one part siphoning the strategic reserves. That's a fairly large proportion of that reduction in price. Well, you can't siphon the reserves forever. Eventually, they go to zero. The gas tax holiday, well, I support getting rid of it entirely, so I don't have a problem with that. Congress may not renew that. The Republican GOP probably won't, which will get billed, by the way, as the Democrats saying they're putting a regressive tax on the working class. Look, the Republicans claim they want to lower your taxes, but they're letting the gas tax holiday expire. I would warn the Republicans, you should just extend the goddamn gas tax holiday because it didn't need to exist to begin with. Then you've got the problem of continued problems in energy production. Biden hasn't done anything, in fact, quite the opposite, to increase U.S. output of gas or oil. So, yeah, I mean, the price could be a lot lower if we had positioned ourselves correctly. If we had done that properly, there would have been no problem. Biden couldn't restrain himself. Day one, he had to put the kibosh to a major oil pipeline deal. Yeah, 415 in southern Michigan. I still get people that are telling me the gas prices, and sometimes I have trouble believing the actual average that they're giving. Like, I'm thinking, is that like a random sampling, or is that only certain gas stations or something like that? Because I keep hearing people consistently saying that it's higher than the average that I see on like Gas Buddy or something like that. Consistently higher, like in 90% of cases. I'm wondering, like, is there some sort of weird statistical bias among people who clank and live in the United States? Or is it actually statistical missampling of some sort? Because I can't imagine they go to every gas station every day and take the price anyway, so. Call of Centauri, I am Christian and not afraid of you. Well, good. That's the way to operate. It's like I'm a pagan. I don't fear Christians. If someone has 777 Jehovah as their username or something, I don't know. I don't give a shit. Anyway, I think that I'm going to go off now. I do have other things to do. There is stew already being prepared, and I still have to buy a carrot for that shit because you can't have a stew without a carrot in it. Nice big-ass carrot chopped up roughly into rather large chunks. I'm thinking about using 2 of them, actually. Liz is taking the 4 on cooking that. And nice beets on the side, by the way. Transylvanian 90, official average gas price is probably the same sort of Common Core Democrat math that led to the new way to count inflation or crime statistics. I would like to point out, I believe that the inflation numbers adjustment actually happened under Reagan, if I remember correctly. It was either Carter or Reagan. It was around that period of time. That may not be actually Democratic math at all. That's about all. Peace out.